Welcome back to Learn with Me training video. In this training, is that this training set of videos, we are looking into the topic on how to consume data from the external system through API and store the data into the SAP system using the cloud integration platform. In the last two sessions, we saw the basic overview of all the steps involved to achieve the requirement. In the last session, we covered the creation of the project, in this our case Roval package, and the artifact, the iFlow integration flow ID. In other terms, we call it as an artifact. So these things we saw in the last session. Meaning we covered the creation of a project, creation of the artifact, and how this integration flow is created, and the sender concept, the HTTPS adapter concept, the starting event concept, and this request reply. And this is the place where the integration flow is going to call the external API and store the data in the receiver point of this integration flow. Okay. Now, in the today's session, we are going to see how we shall continue with the second step, that is the Json to XML converter. In the last session, we saw that when the external system triggered the event, this portion, this request reply part, will call the external API and store the data into the receiver point here, which is in a JSON format. So let us recap what is the external UI and what is the endpoint URL of the iFlow. So for this whole process, we have created the integration flow. This is integration flow. This integration flow is identified by an ID. Okay, the ID is defined here. Actual integration flow ID is API to ODATA demo copy, and this sender will call this integration flow through this HTTPS adapter, and the event will be started. Okay. Now we will see the second portion of JSON to XML converter. Okay, now we are come to the today's session. This was the iFlow created in the last session for our demo purpose. Just to recap, this was the iFlow I created. The iFlow name is demo21. And you can see the properties of this integration flow. In general, we gave the name as demo21, and the ID is demo21. Remember, this ID will be used for the endpoint URL of our integration flow. Okay, either we can use the name artifact or we can use the name integration flow. So let us stick to the name called integration flow for our understanding purpose. So this is the integration flow or iFlow, which is having an ID called demo21, which will be used for our external system API consumption and store it into the SAP database. So far we have seen the creation of this integration flow and what was the sender and what is this adapter, starting event, this request reply, and the receiving point. Okay, the request reply is a process which is nothing but which will help us to call the external system and get back the response. This iFlow will communicate with the external system. This iFlow will communicate with the external system and receive the data and store here in the receiving point for the further processing. Okay, hope so far you are clear on this point. Now we are going to utilize the data stored in this receiver point to further actions. Okay, let us see that what was my external API configured. This is HTTP connection from the receiving point. The connection is, this is external API. Okay, now we will query this API in the browser and see the data coming in. I'm going to the browser. I'll say okay, I will say limit equal to 5. So it has given me the data of 5 record. Okay. Okay, this is the output of my query after this external API is called in a browser. So it is giving me the output in a JSON format, which is set a limit to 6. So it is giving me the 6 output. So in the coming now we will see the actual workout exercise, where how to create this, the next element, how to convert this JSON to XML format, which should be like this. So we are going to create this portion in a practical way and we'll see that. Okay. Okay. Now our next step is to add another processing element, which is a conversion element, wherein we are going to convert the output of this response, which is in JSON format, into a XML format, because in the future, in further actions, we are going to call an ODATA service to store the data into SAP, so that the ODATA service requires data in the XML format. In that case, I have to do a conversion here. Okay. Now before doing that, let us see the output in a JSON format, so that after inserting that conversion element, we can see the output and notice the difference. Okay. Now let me redeploy it and execute the integration process and see the output. So first I will deploy it again. It will ask me to deploy. It is deploying. We can watch the status of the deployment status, that is the runtime status here. So it is showing me that right now the deployment is done and the runtime status is starting now. That service is being started. Let us wait for 1 to 2 minutes. Meantime, we will see what is my external API. This is my external API which I am going to call, which I configured in this place, request replay process, and my endpoint URL of this integration flow will be like this. The initial portion will be up to .com. This will be my subscription account, whether it will be a trial account or it may be a subscription account from the SAP. So you will get something like this with some ID, and it will be ended with your demo 21, which is my iFlow ID, integration flow ID. Okay, so now you will be clear about what is the endpoint URL of this integration flow. Okay, now the status is showing as started. Now I will go to monitoring section and get copy my endpoint URL. I will go to the browser and I'll call my endpoint URL. See, now it is showing me the output as in JSON format. Okay, now what we'll do is we will go back to my artifact. I'm going to my artifact and choosing my artifact ID. I will choose edit. Okay. Next to this request to play process, I am adding another element called plus. So here you can see JSON to XML converter. So it is coming here. I will select this. So JSON to XML converter is added here. This step is very simple. Now you added it. Let us do the properties of this JSON to XML converter. You can change the name also. JSON to XML converter. Okay. Now go to the processing. So that's it. It is a colon and nothing to change it. If at all any root is changed, then you can mention it here. So I will say add. Okay. Save. So it is showing me some error. So let me go on here, go to general, see problems, enter JSON prefix. Say it's a JSON prefix. So I will go here again. I think I don't have any prefix for it. I will say so colon only. Let me verify what is the problem here. Use namespace mapping and say save. Yeah. So you have to choose this checkbox because there is no specific JSON prefix for me, so I use my normal namespace. So now this become a warning instead of problem. So now this became a warning. So no need to worry about that. Now I will save back and redeploy it because we made a changes. I want to redeploy the integration flow. I'll redeploy it. It will ask me again. Yes. So it is started deployed, and now let me see the status. Now it is starting again. What we'll do now is once it is done, I will recall my browser and execute the iFlow endpoint again. In this time, this should return me the output in a XML format, not on the JSON format. Let us wait for some time. So while it is starting, let us redefine everything. So you know about what is the sender, and you know about the HTTPS adapter, you know about the starting event, you know about what is the request reply, and now the new element we called the JSON to XML converter. Now it is started now. So my deployment URL will be the same now. I will go back to my browser and refresh it again. See, now it is giving me the data in the XML format. Okay. So far, I think so far you are clear it now. So just before closing this session, I will recap again. Maybe I am repeating the same point again, but just to reconfirm, we are on the same page. So this is the whole integration flow. We call it as artifact, or we will say iFlow. Each iFlow is our process for integrating between two systems. Okay, each iFlow will have an ID which is maintained here. This ID will be referred as the endpoint URL for the whole integration process. Okay, so the whole integration flow will have some predefined domain end with this ID. That means we are going to execute this process. So the endpoint URL will be like this. The domain will be your subscription account, and the endpoint is your integration flow ID. Sender is, it can be anything. It can be a browser where I will call the endpoint URL directly, or it can be a postman. From there I will call the endpoint URL, or it could be any external program which will be executed manually by the user to call this integration flow endpoint, or it could be for example, it could be an ABAP program which will run in a job. I can set it at any frequency, maybe at every 30 minutes. That program will internally call the endpoint URL. What that is called, this start event will be called. The start event is started, then this request reply will communicate to the external system which is configured in this HTTP adapter. Okay. Once the response is coming back, that data will be stored in the receiver point. Then the second step is it will fetch a data from the receiver point which is in a JSON format, and it will convert back in the XML format, which is again will be in the same place. Instead of JSON format, now the value will be XML format, which you already saw that the output is coming in the XML format. Okay. Initially the external API will send the data in this format, and we are getting output in the XML format after this JSON to XML conversion. Hope this session is helpful to you now. In the next session we will see what is the further action. Okay, thank you and bye.